Good morning, everyone, and welcome to week 5 of Lent. We're getting very close to Easter Sunday. Next Sunday, when I send an email to you, it will be Palm Sunday, and then the Sunday after that will be Easter. So I'm really excited to have taken this journey with you, and I'm looking forward to these two special Sundays coming up. In your Lent box, once again, you will have a family table tent card with a devotion to do with your families and some instructions for your resurrection gardens. Today, we will be placing 3 crosses in our garden. I've already done 2. We'll do the other one together in just a minute. You're going to need to go outside and find some sticks that you can cut into short pieces to make crosses. The thinner the better. They can be a little tough to cut with scissors. You might have some special cutters for gardening at your house that would make that easier. And so you'll need those, and then also in your box you should have had a baggie that had some string in it, and it might be all different colors, and so you'll want to pull that out as well. But before we do that, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about a cross and what a cross means and what it is. You might be able to see I have a cross on my necklace. This one's kind of sideways. That's just for fashion. That is not for any specific reason, but that's a necklace that I wear often. And so the cross is the place where Jesus died. As we start hearing more about the Easter story, you'll be hearing that part of the story, but the Bible tells us that Jesus came to teach us about God and to show people how to live and how to be close to God. And he did many amazing things while he was here. He performed miracles, and he healed people, and he loved everyone, and he taught them things about God that they did not know. And a lot of people followed him because he was such an amazing person. But the things that he was doing and the things that he said also made other people really angry, particularly people who were in power and were used to being in charge, and they were used to being the people that the crowds listened to. So they didn't like that Jesus was getting so much attention, and they were afraid that if people started following him, that they would lose their power and the people wouldn't follow them anymore. And so the Bible tells us in several places that when Jesus would do something amazing, there were people there who were plotting against him and even plotting to kill him. And so the cross is a way that they punished criminals in Jesus' time. It was a very public way to die, and it was meant to be frightening. It was meant to scare people so that they would do what the authorities said, do what the leaders told them to do, what the government wanted them to do, because they were so afraid that they might be arrested and treated this way. And so that is the way that Jesus died, was on a cross. We will put 3 in our gardens today because the Bible tells us that 2 criminals were crucified. That means to be killed on a cross. Were crucified with him. And so the 3 crosses together remind us of the way that Jesus died. But the thing that I want to share with you today that is so important to me about a cross is that this was a terrible thing. It was a very painful way to die. It was a very sad thing that happened to Jesus. And it was a very sad thing that happened to lots of other people too. But because of Jesus and his love for us and who he was and all of the amazing things that he taught us about God, when we see crosses today, they remind us of God's love. They remind us of Jesus, who was willing to give even his life because he loved us so much and because he was so sure of God and what God wanted him to do that he was brave and was willing to do this really hard thing. And so when we see a cross today, it reminds us of love It reminds us of forgiveness. It reminds us of grace. It reminds us of Jesus. And those are all wonderful things. And that's really what God does in lots of different ways and in lots of people's lives, is God takes things that are meant to be terrible, hard things that happen, bad things that happen to us, struggles that we go through. And when God's love comes in, those things can often become a way that we experience God's love, a way that we love others, something that gives us purpose, something that changes our church or our community in a beautiful way. God often takes bad things and turns them into useful things, graceful things, good ways that we can experience God's love. And so when you look at these crosses, I want you to remember that they were meant to do something terrible to Jesus, do something painful in the world, but that God took them and changed them with his love so that now they are a sign of love and grace and goodness to lots of people everywhere. So we are going to make 3 crosses, like I said, to place in our garden, and I've already put 2 in there. I know some of you are really struggling to get your grass to grow. Some of you said your grass is growing so out of control that it might need a trim. Mine was growing really good, and then I think I got kind of like, oh, my grass is good, and I didn't water it so great. And so now it's kind of wilted, but I think it looks pretty cool, and even maybe looks a little more like the dusty places where Jesus would have lived. So however it looks, however it's turning out, I think you're doing a great job, and I think they're beautiful. And Georgia, I know, put some flowers in hers this week because her grass wasn't growing very well. You can go out and get some moss or some clover or anything you want to add to yours if you want to make it more green as we're getting closer to Easter if your grass isn't growing. So be creative and do whatever you want to with it. Okay, so I'm going to try to show you how to make one of these crosses. Of course, you're going to want your sticks to crisscross like this. What I found was the easiest way is I took one of my sticks and I went ahead and tied my string. I'll try to do it back here, in a knot around it. So I just tied my string to it. So that way the string is attached and isn't going to go anywhere when you start wrapping. You might be able to hear Luke playing the Xbox upstairs. He keeps yelling a little bit. I'm going to try to edit some of that out, but if you hear someone hollering, no one's injured or in pain. It's just Luke playing his games. Okay, so I've got it tied onto the one stick, and then I'm just going to start wrapping from one side to the other, and I'm going in diagonals. I don't know if I'm going to be able to wrap and let you see this, but I'm going in diagonals around. So up and around. It's really hard to see, but I think your moms and dads and grandmas are going to be able to help you with this if you have trouble. But I'm just wrapping in diagonals, and once it gets kind of firm, I'm not worried about going in both directions all the time. So wrapping it around. Once it feels pretty firm, then what I did was I cut it with kind of a tail, and hang on, I left my scissors. Okay. So I cut kind of a tail, and then I wrapped, but I put my finger in it so that I could tie, you know, make it kind of a knot at the end so that it'll stay. So I'm kind of sticking my finger in there. This is hard to film. And wrapping it around and pulling it through to make a knot. And then I'll just cut my tails off. And I'll put this one
beside here. Now, I really ran into trouble with the fact that this dirt on top of my tomb had really dried out, so I did a lot of spraying with water before I put them up there, and I even kind of like I'll spray a little and then smush that dirt around it so it'll stay, hopefully. So it'll look something like this after you put your crosses on there. So it's starting to look very cool. So I am going to link this book to our video or to our email today. So I am going to link this book to our email today. This is called Miracle Man, and it tells the whole story of Jesus's life. And I think this is a good week to hear this book before we move into Holy Week next week. We'll have Palm Sunday and Holy Week, and then I have a great book for Easter as well. So you may want to, if you're making your crosses, you might want to go ahead and click on this book video and listen to this story while you're making your crosses. It's a little bit of a longer story, so that might be a good time to do that, or you can listen to it another day. But it's a great, beautiful book about the life of Jesus. Okay, that's it for me, friends. I will be back next Sunday, which will be Palm Sunday, and your devotion will be a little different next week because you'll have a little something to do each day of Holy Week, which will be kind of special. So I will meet you back here next week, and I look forward to finishing our gardens together. Love you guys.